Hey, what's up, drill team fans? This is Todd. I'm back for another Todd Talk about all things silent drill team related. I'm sure some of you people are probably bored to death of this, but some of you think it's the coolest thing ever, and so I fall somewhere in between the middle of those two. Anyway, this is Monday, sometime in February. Had a long weekend, feel good, and I'm driving down this nice, pretty highway in Randolph County, North Carolina. And this is one of North Carolina's prime Bigfoot habitat counties. Okay, so we have lots of reportings of Bigfoot every year, and this area I'm in is one of the prime locations. Not saying I believe in Bigfoot, but I'm not saying I don't believe in Bigfoot either. It's up in the air for me. Speaking of Bigfoot, I was on the silent drill team one time. See my segue? So last time I was talking about 1990, and the worst part of that year for me, besides all the hazing and all that stupid crap that went on, was having to change clothes with one of the other Marines, who actually was a first-year Marine also, who was only 24, and he sweated like a fat hog, and he got red dye all over his pants, and I had to change with him. And then I got humiliated by this guy on the inspection team that didn't like me very well. So that was like something in my brain snapped at that point. Like, when I mean snapped, I didn't go like all Full Metal Jacket, but I quickly learned. And I told you before, I consider myself one of the smallest guys on the drill team. 6'1", 190 pounds. I was literally one of the smallest guys. So I realized quickly, and this goes for anybody in the Marine Corps, if you're not the toughest one in the platoon, it's always good to be the craziest one in the platoon. So after this whole humiliating thing where I wanted to butt stroke Jason in the head and kill him, something in my mind turned. I'm a Gemini, and I have a very, very bad dark side of my personality. And thankfully, though, it's been locked up since 2015. That's kind of when I was able to put some demons to rest, and I became a nice person. So now, I mean, people who knew me before I became nice, they wouldn't know me now, because I'm nowhere close to what I used to be. But I always had a smart-ass personality, and I always cracked jokes, and that might have been why some of these people on the drill team didn't care for me, because they were all serious, and I just thought that was fun to make fun of, because you're just setting yourself up for it. But I also started saying things that would lend to me being labeled a little bit nuts, especially as it related to like homicide. Like someone said, "Hey, hello, how's it going today?" I'm like, "I don't know, it's a good day to kill somebody, right?" And I just keep on walking. And I said stuff like that all the time. And the ones who are serious-minded, I guess I got like a beacon to people like that. My dad's a serious-minded person, and he has never understood me at all. So, because I got that kind of sense of humor. It's kind of a little cynical and sarcastic, and I got this weird sense of humor. But I started saying stuff like that, and people started leaving me alone. And really, getting kicked off the 24 really was actually the best thing that could have happened to me that year, because as much as I was in the limelight to begin with, now I got to take a back seat, and no one expected much out of me anymore. But the odd thing was, I got a whole lot better. Like I told you the other day about the how seeds sprout and grow into plants at different rates. So I really started getting a whole lot better. I mean, even some of the older guys were telling me, "Yeah, you're looking a lot better," because I practice all the time, and I had to learn everybody's spot. And I was always being used as I call myself the sixth man of the drill team that year, because I was the main extra. I mean, I was dressed for everything we did, every show we did. I was there ready to jump in and take over. So the ironic thing was, they all told me how terrible I was, but yet they started counting on me for everything, which is just, now that I think about it, I never thought about it that way until just now. That's kind of strange. But like I told you, I was toting rifle crates, I was guarding rifle crates, I was pressing clothes. Cause like I said, we carried our ironing boards, irons everywhere, and so I would press my fire team's uniforms if they were actually drilling. I didn't mind it either. It kept me busy, and I'd sometimes run the video camera. I did a lot of things behind the scenes besides being an extra at the same time. So, but what's crazy is I got really sick somewhere around like July of 1990. I got really sick with bronchitis, and the drill team had to go off to Michigan that weekend to do something, do some kind of a show for I think a baseball game, and I stayed behind. I lived in the barracks still on the 5th deck, and that's when I first realized how much I enjoyed solitude, because I was the only one there. Nobody messed with me, but I got super sick because I had like 104 fever. This is in the summer too. That sucks. So this is on a Saturday, and I had to go down to the naval. What's that place called? The Navy Yard, right down the street, and to go see the doctor about my fever. And lo and behold, the clinic's closed. But some sailor gave me my medical records, said I had to go over to Andrews Air Force Base to the hospital. So I had this little pickup truck, had no AC in it. I told you in the video that Washington, D.C. is hotter than 7 hells. Here I am with 104 fever, no AC in the vehicle, and it's hot. It's the middle of summer, and I took that short drive to Andrews Air Force Base, found the hospital, walked my ass in the emergency room, and told the receptionist or whoever it was that I was sick, and I didn't see somebody. Here's my ID, and I sat down. Well, the problem was every military spouse, every wife on base was in there with their snotty little kids. And since I was a stupid, enlisted guy, and apparently all these women were the wives of officers, I had to sit there behind all these kids. And, they say, free healthcare is such a great thing, but it's really not, because depending on your social status they don't give a crap about you. So I sat there, no joke, 6 hours in this waiting room. 6 freaking hours with 104 fever, and the only reason they ever took me back there is because I passed out. My fever just got to the point where I just, boom, I killed right over. And I don't know anything at all until all of a sudden I'm laying on my back and I open my eyes, and there's the biggest, blackest nurse dude I've ever seen in my entire life looking at me, and it scared me because I didn't know what was going on. So I immediately, just out of instinct, hit him right in the face. And he's huge dude. He's like big, broad shouldered. Hey, calm down. And then he says, "You're okay, man." And I said, "Dude, where am I? What's going on?" He goes, "Man, you Marines are crazy." I'm like, "I'm sorry I hit you. I just did not. I mean, you know how it is when you wake up from passing out. You have no idea what's going on." So he kind of laughed. He goes, "No, that's cool, man. This guy was awesome. We got to be pretty good friends after I hit him in the face." But anyway, they saw me, and this time I had bronchitis, blah, blah, blah. Sent me back to the barracks with a huge brown bag full of drugs. I mean, everything you can think of. So the good thing about free healthcare is the fact that they'll load you up with drugs. The bad thing is you have to wait behind a bunch of officers' kids until you pass out. So, free healthcare, I guess it's a little give and take. Anyway, I actually enjoyed that weekend because everybody was gone, and it was quiet. But one thing I was going to say the other day, I'm jumping around because I'm thinking of little tidbits of things. Before I start talking about, the pants and the red dye and stuff, I was going to tell you that we used to go to EWO over at Arlington and practice all the time. So what's funny is one day, about 18 buses pulled up as we're out there drilling. And off loads about, a couple hundred Japanese people with Nikon cameras around their neck, little baseball caps and stuff, just the typical, stereotypical, Japanese tourist. And here they are over there smiling real big and snapping pictures and saying USA #1. And they want to take pictures of us next to the statue with their kids and stuff. And this is weird, man. Here we are practicing for a parade, dedicated to, the memories of soldiers who died at Iwo Jima, which was a battle in World War II against the Japanese. We kicked their sorry asses, but yet they're up there, USA #1 and waving their, cameras and stuff and wanting to take photos with us. I found that hilariously ironic. Japanese are weird, man. I've been there. I went to somewhere in Japan, Mount Fuji, maybe. Yeah, it's a big mountain, right? Yeah, I went there. and also Okinawa. I learned real quick the Okinawans, they're not they look just like Japanese, but do not call them Japanese. They are Ryukian, which to me is Japanese, but they see a big difference. Okay, but the Japanese are pretty chill people. They actually resent us being on Okinawa, but I get it. You know, you're locals, and here comes a bunch of foreigners over there, and they're running their mouth, being loud and obnoxious. I totally understand, but the Japanese government wants us there because they're terrified of China and North Korea. So sucks being them. Anywho, the rest of 1990, man, actually, like I said, things kind of settled down for me a little bit. If you see the camera moving around, I'm driving and my arms get tired, so I'm switching over. I'm behind a guy driving a really seriously old RV going across the railroad track. I hate that. Sometimes this highway I'm on, it takes 15 minutes off my drive time. It's through the country. It's a 2-lane road. I could go the interstate and hit the next interstate, but this is like a slice of pie. It takes 15 minutes out of my drive time, unless I get behind somebody driving slow. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, the pressure's off of me, and I got stuck on chow hall duty, which is a humiliating thing, except for you couldn't get more humiliated than I was from the red pants. So I had no problem going to chow hall. I begged them to let me work in the pot shack. Just let me scrub pots. Like, that's the worst job in the whole chow hall. Why would you want to do that? So just leave me, just so I can be by myself and people leave me alone. And I really had an issue with people. And I guess because I started developing this whole dark personality that grew and grew and grew, I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be. I had, you know, seriously good friends that were very supportive of me, but that kind of first year, everybody was kind of out for themselves. Like, I wouldn't expect my friends to defend me against some of these second-year Marines, because this is a death sentence for them. So I kind of feel like I was on my own, and I didn't hold that against anybody. It just I became more comfortable being by myself as much as possible. So I asked the sergeant in charge of the kitchen, could I just work the pot shack? He said, sure, have at it. Nobody else wants to do it. So really, just the basic methodical scrubbing of pots with hot dish water and soap, it was therapeutic for me, really. Actually, I just enjoyed that. They tried at one time promote me to cake private and pie private, but I said no. I don't want to go out there during time everybody's in, because if I walked out there into the chow hall with my little white t-shirt on, my white pants, and my black boots, all my buddies would have made fun of me because it was a humiliating thing, because I'm a member of the drill team, but yet now I'm just working in the pot shack. And that might sound snooty, but again, we were the show up there. Okay, people came to see us. We were the rock stars of Marine Barracks, Washington D.C., and to be working in the kitchen in general means that you're a piece of trash and you should be shunned. So I just said, don't make me pie private. I just want to work the pot shack. All right, have it your way. Thank you so much, Sergeant. And they left me alone. I scrubbed pots for 3 weeks until they rotated me out with somebody else. But what happened was, sometime around, like, here's the thing, on Friday, like I've talked about the Tuesday night parade at EWO. The Friday night parade at the barracks is the same exact parade, but of course it's different because it's at night. I don't think it starts really till like 9 o'clock. It's good and dark, and generally the commandant's there if he's in town, but they usually have a guest of honor of some sort. I want to say the president was there. I think he was one time. I saw the president a lot, so I kind of get mixed up I'm pretty sure he came to one of our parades. So depending on who the guest of honor was, we gave more of a shit than we did other times. So if it's just like some brigadier general or major general, big deal. You know, I don't care about him. This RV in front of me is dumping its freaking tanks out as it's driving down the road. That's just rude. So, you know, if it was like a big time deal, like a Secretary of Defense, that's cool. But if it's like the undersecretary, who gives a crap, you know? But we put on a good show if it was somebody big. And so the cool thing about being an extra during this time is right behind the parade deck, where you see all the platoons, you know, standing there at attention or parade rest. Behind that is this brick corridor, okay? And that's where all the extras hung out. Each platoon had one. And the cool thing for the other guys is all they had to do was just the manual of arms to do the march. And that's no big freaking deal. Me, if one of our guys, had a medical issue before the drill team's performance, and I'm gonna have to jump out there and do their spot. So there's a seriously heavy load of pressure on me because of that. And I really didn't mind it because, like I said the other day, I got to where I knew almost every spot out there. Now, I couldn't have gotten out there and done the inspection because I just wasn't qualified to do that. Even though, here's the funny thing, I'm just going to segue a little bit. Okay, so I told you there's 2 inspection teams, right? Well, there was 2 main things you as a let me say this better. As a first-year Marine on the drill team, there's 2 things you do not ever do. Okay, one of them has an expiration date. You do not wear drill team PT gear before you make the team. Okay, now sounds kind of weird, but here's why. Like I told you, before we went down to Corpus Christi or Yuma, we're in the platoon. We're training to see if we can make the team. So here's the thing: we wore PT gear a lot as our uniform of the day. Like when we're out there down in Yuma, rehearsing, whatever, drilling, and we wore PT gear a lot. So they want uniformity, but you do not put on that PT gear before they tell you to. We had one Marine, he was from Arizona, and he got caught one day wearing he was wearing a pair of drill team shorts underneath his uniform because of I don't know why, but the reason that was found out is because of hazing. Okay, they had this thing called Dickie Mo. Dickie Mo is a wedgie, so it's like an atomic wedgie. So if some squad leader or team leader tells you or somebody else to go, hey, go there and Dickie Mo this guy, you have to go do it. And so your goal is to rip their underwear off. Again, I don't know why, it's stupid. And I don't know why it's called Dickie Mo either, but that's what we called it. And so this particular individual, let's call him Private Phoenix, he was Dickie Mo'd, and what happened was they found out his underwear wasn't coming off because that dude's wearing PT gear, drill team PT gear. Lord have mercy, the pain he suffered after that. I felt sorry for him because that was just rough. So that's one thing you don't do. The other thing you do not do is you do not imitate anybody on the inspection team, especially the rifle inspector. Meaning you don't get in your room and spin stocks around. Okay. Now it's very tempting to want to do that because it's just you want to emulate these guys because what they do is amazing and they're very smooth and polished, and it's just like the height of all things badass. But you do not do this ever because you don't rate to spin a rifle the way they do. You don't deserve it. You're just a piece of trash. So I had a roommate, and I had several roommates actually, but this one particular one, he wanted to spin that rifle stock all the time. Now me, I never ever did this because 1, I was not interested in being on the inspection team, and 2, I was just so tired of getting my ass kicked, I just didn't even give them any ammunition. On top of everything else they made me do. I didn't want to get in trouble for spinning stock, so I didn't do it. But this particular individual, he spun that thing all the time, imitating the rifle inspector like you wouldn't believe. And so he slipped one night, and the butt of that rifle caught him right in the forehead, like right here. It cut him good too. Blood's pouring out of his eye. Now, what we should have done is we should have gone down to the Navy Yard, but he was terrified of having to explain this. Don't know why. So he asked me would I stitch his head up. Well, you gotta stitch your head up. Let's try let's try that, because I'm a professional freaking seamstress here. And so this is so stupid, but keep in mind we were like 21 years old, just dumbasses. I got a needle and thread, like the kind you just use for clothes, right? And we gave him a little shot of whiskey because we kept that in our room, of course. And then we poured some whiskey on his forehead to get the just to clean the wound, to eliminate all the bacteria. And then of course we gave the needle a really good dousing with whiskey also. And I pinched his forehead and I started sewing him up. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that I didn't do a bad job. I gave him 3 stitches, and I did do a pretty good job. I mean, I was impressed with my handiwork. 2 days later, though, he got infected because apparently you do not use a needle and thread as sutures. So he had to go to sick bay after all down there at the Navy Yard, and that's when it came out that he was in fact spitting rifle stocks. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm the one that dimed him out. Not because I wanted to, because I mean I had this whole, I'm not going to be a snitch, but it was a medical emergency. His head got really infected, and I mean really bad. Why the hell, I was Lance Corporal by this time. Why, Lance Corporal Lowe, did you think it was necessary to stitch up this guy's head? Like, well, because he got hurt in the room. How did he get hurt in the room? He cut his head. How did he cut his head? I did not want to say it. God, I didn't want to say it. But when you're standing there and there's 2 rifle inspectors and a platoon sergeant and your captain asking you these questions, and you feel like you're skating on thin ice anyway, by God, you're just going to sing like a canary. I said, okay, he was spinning a stock and hit him in the head, and I stitched him up. They all knew it anyway. They just wanted me to say it. Okay, because, I mean, it's the rooms, there's not much you can do in these rooms to get that hurt like that. So, of course, he got in major league trouble for that. I mean, when I mean major league trouble, this is drill team trouble, okay? We handle things internally. You didn't have things getting turned over to the company and the NJP and all that kind of stuff. We handled it ourselves, which, honestly, some of the stuff that we got put through, I'd rather gone in front of a judicial board instead of drill team justice, because we called it wall-to-wall counseling, and that means you get your ass kicked, which actually got pretty tolerable after a while. You just got to where you're used to it. But things got, that year was just wild, man. I mean, the more I think about stuff, the more funny it gets now. Except for, like I said earlier, and this is a serious point before I cut the video off, I noticed that now when you join the Marine Corps in general, you change person. All these other people say, well, you join the Marines, they just brainwash you. And maybe they do, whatever you want to call it, but it changes your perception of life. It makes you think differently. And that's what makes the Marine Corps successful in battle. That's why we're feared all over the whole world. That's why you can go over to South Korea right now and see Marine Corps flags flying, because there's people who survived the Korean War against the Norks, and remember, the U.S. Marines bailed their asses out. Okay, that's why this stuff goes on, because this is the fighting force that is feared everywhere and respected everywhere, and that's kind of why I joined to begin with. I wanted that respect. I wanted to be part of that club. I just wanted to prove something to myself. But the first year on the drill team, it broke me. It really did. It basically changed who I was. And after that episode with the, like I said, that thing with the pants was a final straw. That was like, we're leading up a staircase here, and then I get to the top, and then I just completely broke, and something in my mind switched. From that point on, maybe I grew up a little bit. Maybe I got tired of the bullshit. Or maybe, I don't know, something just happened, and I kind of like that dark side of my personality kind of took over. When I mean dark side, I don't mean like destructive, like I'm going to go out there and choke somebody in the middle of the night and put a bayonet in their throat. I mean, that dark side of my personality kind of protects me from people hurting me. So I kind of started pushing back a little bit. And so I'm going to cut it off there. I got a few more things to talk about 1990. I got in a bad car wreck. And then we went to the Netherlands. I'll hit that the next time around, because we're getting towards the tail end of parade season now in this little journey of mine. So thanks for listening. Have a good day.